welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, which I like to do on Fridays. I'm going to do my very first reading vlog. I don't know how long it's going to be quite honest, but I did want to do this because I just finished listening to Anne of Green Gables, which I originally started listening to for nostalgic reasons because I read the book when I was a kid. I used to watch the TV movies, which I always loved, and I also used to go to PEI every summer for a couple weeks when I was little. My mother was born and raised in PEI. We'd go over to visit my grandparents and my uncle, who was still over there, and we'd have lobster dinners and always go to see the Anne of Green Gables house that they had there, and they always had like a little skit and entertainment and everything, and it was so fun. This book, I originally, like I said, bought it to bring me back to those times, and it did so much more than that. Rachel McAdams narrated. Her interpretation of Anne Shirley just swept me away, just like when I was a kid. I mean, don't get me wrong, Megan Fowler's portrayal of her in the TV movies was just, that's who I picture still to this day when I hear Anne of Green Gables. It's just the way it is. But Rachel McAdams just renewed my love for this story. Like, Anne is so whimsical and yet so driven in other areas. So some people might not know the story. It is a classic, so if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Lucy Maud Montgomery does an amazing job describing Prince Edward Island and describing the characters and giving each character their own voice. Anne, she was whimsical, she was a daydreamer, she loved using big words, so I guess that would make her precocious as well. But she had a little bit of vengeance in her blood. Not vengeance, that's the word I'm looking for. She was stubborn. She was very stubborn. So one character ends up teasing her first day at school when she's an orphan that was brought over from Halifax, which is where I was born and raised, to Prince Edward Island. Her first day at school, one particular character teases her about her red hair, and she carries a grudge against that character throughout pretty much the entire book. Like, it's just amazing the determination this child has to hold that grudge. It doesn't matter how many other people tell her that this character is deserving of her forgiveness. Nope, not gonna happen. Rachel McAdams portrays that whimsical, grudge-holding, precocious child very well. I highly recommend it. It's such an amazing story, and now I want to get the sequel to it. I think it's Anne of Avonlea. Not sure. I think that's the second one. I'll look into that. I don't know if Rachel McAdams reads the second one, and it might be difficult for me to get used to another narrator, but we shall see. The next books on my list, so excited. This was supposed to come last Tuesday. Today I'm filming this on Thursday, so this was supposed to come last Tuesday, a couple days ago, and then on Tuesday, no, it was supposed to come yesterday. It was supposed to come, yeah, it was supposed to come on Wednesday, yesterday, and I looked on Amazon yesterday and it said, oh, it's going to be here on Tuesday, October 20th, I think, is this Tuesday coming, and I was crestfallen. I was so sad because I was really looking forward to this book. I even mentioned it in another video. It came today and I'm so excited. So it is Timeline by Michael Crichton, and I mentioned in the other video, in Wednesday's video, that I saw the movie but hadn't read the book. The movie I initially watched, I don't even think I knew it was a book when I watched the movie, but it had Paul Walker in it. Gerard Butler is in it as well. So, I mean, come on. But Paul Walker, I loved Paul Walker so much. I was so sad when he passed away. It took me quite a while to be able to watch any of his movies again after he passed. That could be content for a whole other video, but we're going to stick to the reading vlog for now. So I'm going to read this next, and I couldn't wait for the 18th, which is 3 days away, but I couldn't wait till the 18th to get an Audible credit so that I could get this audiobook. So I bought 3 credits, and it is, I'm gonna see if I can show it to you on my phone, but it's the Sherlock Holmes. See, I've seen people do this and it kind of helps. I'll let it focus. Sherlock Holmes, the Definitive Collection. And I mentioned this in the other video as well, that it's narrated by Stephen Fry, who was a psychiatrist or psychologist. I think he goes through this every time. I'm gonna find out, hold on. He was, let's see, psychiatrist. He was psychiatrist Dr. Gordon Wyatt on Bones, and he was hilarious. I loved him in that role. And I listened to the introduction for this Sherlock Holmes book on Audible, and he does the narration, and I was hooked just from the introduction. So anyway, there's 6 parts to download. Part 2 is 13 hours and 21 minutes. Part 3 is 13 hours and 13 minutes. 4 is 14 hours and 8 minutes. 5 is 9 hours and 16 minutes. And part 6 is a whopping 15 hours and 9 minutes. It's gonna take me a while, but I will try to update you as I complete each part and as I'm getting through this as well. I had wanted to mention this in an earlier video when I was talking about excessive wordiness in books, because it can be annoying unless it's a character choice. If it's the way the character is supposed to be. Anne of Green Gables, when you're in her head, very wordy. When you're outside of her head and she's speaking, very wordy. But it's acceptable because she's just, it's her, it's who she is. Also, on a totally different note, this is one of my favorite snacks, whether I'm writing, recording, editing, doesn't matter. Yummy. It's lemon pudding. One of these days I'm thinking about doing a playlist just showing me making some of the snacks I love to eat while I'm working. So if you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. It's one of my mother's creations, and I think it is. She might have gotten the idea from somebody else, but she's the one I learned about it from, and it's so good. One of my characters is wordy like that, and it's Asher. He starts off in book 2 and then he carries on through other books, and he's just, I'm sorry, I know I created him and it might sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm really not. I just fell in love with that character. He's just so adorable. He and his dad do this word of the day game, and he loves to learn new words, and when he learns those new words, he loves to use them. And unfortunately, that gets him into trouble at school. Not with teachers, but with other students. He uses these words, a lot of times it's not, sometimes you get the feeling that authors use these words to try and show how smart they are. But that's not it, because the words that I give Asher to use, like his word of the day, and it's usually 1 word per book that he just loves to use as often as he can. And it's not all the time, but it's, you know, I have to look it up. I have to look into the thesaurus to find a word that Asher would love. So it's not me bragging. I half the time don't know these words. They're new for me as well. But I was like that as a kid too. I loved reading books and learning new words from those books. I don't like it when it's done in a pretentious way, but I've always loved learning new words from books. That's kind of a little bit of me I put into Asher. That's an exception to that rule, in my opinion anyway, with wordiness in books, when it's from the point of view of a character who is just in love with words. It's acceptable, at least in my opinion. You can kind of tell when it's a character thing and when it's an author thing where the author is just trying to prove that they're hotty-toddy. That's my opinion on it. So Laura, I have a feeling that you'll agree, but if you don't, or if anyone else agrees or disagrees, feel free to comment below to let me know. So my next point is audiobooks. Anne of Green Gables was an audiobook. Timeline will be a physical book, and Sherlock Holmes, the definitive collection, will be an audiobook. It used to be I know I mentioned in other videos that I devoured books as a kid. I just burned through them. I did that right up until film school. And even the year before film school, I moved to a new apartment in March, I believe it was, and I decided not to get cable because I wanted to just read instead. And I didn't actually get cable until the following September, when I found out that Jensen Ackles was going to be in a new TV series, Supernatural. So I got cable for that, and even then I only watched Supernatural that entire TV season. But then when I started film school, it was kind of in my job description, or future job description at the time, to know TV shows. I had to write spec screenplays, sample screenplays for TV shows as well as movies. I think I showed some screenshots in the last video, a couple pages of a Supernatural spec screenplay that I wrote in school. Actually placed 3rd in Scriptapalooza, which is an international screenwriting competition, so that was kind of cool. That was the one and only recognition I got, other than my degree from Vancouver Film School. But that's okay, I didn't necessarily need recognition. Yeah, that's a whole other story. I did get out of screenwriting and move on to writing books, but it's a long story which I'll save for a different video. When I started film school, I started watching more TV shows and reading fewer books. I needed to study TV shows and study movies, and books were a totally different medium, as you know. So now, when I started getting back into books, I took a pause from writing screenplays for a while. I wasn't working on my screenwriting when I was working in a call center, because I don't know if you've ever worked in a toxic environment, but it kind of sucks the creativity out of you. The work ethic of the call center changed, and I couldn't change with it. During that year, I started reading books again, but I would read them at night when I was going to bed, because I needed those books in order to escape all the stuff that had happened throughout the day at work. So I would read the books to help me go to sleep. So now, when I read a physical book, my body has trained itself to think that, oh, you have to go to sleep. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. It could be 9 in the morning, it could be 2 in the afternoon, it could be 6 in the evening. My body thinks that it's time to go to sleep when I read a book. So that's why I started listening to audiobooks more often. But I'm trying to retrain my brain, and I figured this will be the perfect prop to be able to do that. Another reason audiobooks are perfect for me is because I spend so much time staring at either a notebook, like old school scribbler type deal, and computer screen for my writing as well as for doing these videos. Right now I'm in outlining stage, which means I'm writing in a notebook, which is just my process. I think better that way when I'm brainstorming. But when I get to the editing stage, I'll be on the computer. And also when I'm editing the videos, I edit them on the computer. And I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos about making YouTube videos. I'm either staring at a notebook writing, or I'm staring at a computer screen. Audiobooks help me give my eyes a rest from computer screens and from staring at a notebook or a book of any sort. So that's another reason where audiobooks come in handy for me, because I can sometimes get bad headaches. So audiobooks help with that. I think this has ended up being longer than I expected, which is fine. I'm fine with that, as long as you guys are fine with that. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and click the little bell so that you'll get notified when I upload another video. I upload 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wednesdays and Fridays. And please comment as well. Let me know what you think, and let me know what books you're reading right now. Have a great day, guys. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Bye. I didn't think of the braids until I was doing the photo for the thumbnail. So I figured I'd come back on and do the closing with the braids because they kind of fit in with the whole Anne of Green Gables vibe. Or my niece said she got the Wendy's vibe and started craving a Baconator. So could go either way, but with my hair this length, this is the best I could do. I used to listen to it when I was a kid, or not listen to it. We didn't have audiobooks back when I was a kid. Rachel McAdams made, it's her, it's who she is. Uh-oh, did I not bring up a straw? I didn't bring up a straw. Oh, I brought up a bottle. Bear with me. Okay.